Welcome to Tarot Foundations. I want to personally thank you for trusting me to walk on this journey with you. The tarot has been a part of my life for a very long time, more than 25 years, and it is and has been a journey that continues to support my life in every way. And I can't express exactly how deep and mysterious and connected my experiences with the tarot have been. But I hope that over the course of 22 weeks, and maybe more because there may very well be some bonus classes, that I can share with you my joy, my love for this medium and all that it has to offer. This is a beginner's course, but I think you will find that my approach is a little different than most books. I like to keep things connected, and I have a very hard time when tarot is taught in disassociated ways, so that we are learning one card at a time, memorizing keywords and meanings. I find this approach doesn't help to learn one to read quickly. And so what you're going to find in this course is that I will be sharing numerological connections. I will be talking about color, symbols, mythology, traditional meanings, various approaches from different styles of tarot, trying to help you build connections. Now, if you have worked with me through any of my deep dive series, and I have many deep dives specific to certain decks on my YouTube channel, and most of them are members features, some of them are public videos, but if you've followed any of those series, you will begin to know my approach to the tarot, and that is one of weaving. And I love to use the metaphor of the spider web. Sometimes you'll hear me talking about the actual process of knitting or crocheting, building a mandala. And I think that is just a beautiful expression to describe the tarot, the mandala of the tarot. And that is something that I think you can begin to personally build and to doodle in a center spreadsheet of your journal. It's just something really gorgeous. So welcome. I'm really excited to be doing and sharing this course for the I can't tell you how many times I've taught this course, and it is continuing to evolve. And thank you. Okay, so let's begin. What you need for this course is a Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. And I have two on the table here and I want to talk a little bit about variations of tarot decks and why you might want to have a standard tarot deck that is in the colors that were, and I say that because of course we don't have the original paintings of Pamela Colman Smith, but the colors that are fairly close to the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which tends to be referred to as the Waite-Smith deck now. And actually originally it was called the Rider-Waite deck, and Pamela Colman Smith was not credited at all. So this deck has gone through a few different name changes over the years. On the left is the Centennial. I like the coloration in this deck. It looks a little bit antique-y, perhaps. That would be a way to describe it. This one tends to have similar colors to the plaid-backed deck. And the one that is on the right is a new deck to me. This is the Wiser Tarot. And I will be referring to it from time to time. There was actually a student in Tarot Foundations that brought this deck to my attention. And one of the reasons I like this deck is because a lot of the faces have been changed in color, so it brings in the sense of diversity. And also some of the background scenery is changed, as well as the colors or the patterns on the clothing. And you can see that. So if we just look at the Fool card, you can just note the color changes, because color is significant in reading the tarot. And you may find a deck that you absolutely love to read with, and you will get to know the colors of that deck. And throughout many of the worksheets, I will be asking you about color. And this is something I will always be paying attention to. Color is symbolic, just like symbols are symbolic. So I will be bringing your attention to that. For the most part, I will be using the deck that is on the left. Okay, so there are an abundance of other Waite Smith inspired decks out there. Some of them are super easy to read. They skew happy and light. Others have animals in them or other creatures and characters. And you are more than welcome to use any Waite Smith inspired deck that you want to for this course. But I would encourage you to also have a deck that looks something like the ones that I just showed you on my table. Okay, because it'll be helpful for some of the symbolic references. So that's deck. Google Drive. So I began to upload some of the worksheets to your Google Drive, and that is linked in the description box below, and it will be linked in every one of the videos. So you can go there and you can create an online document, or you can print from that resource. And I will be updating that pretty much every week. And who knows, maybe even in the future I will add documents to it. I have a few different things on my table here, and I'm hoping to really offer you a wealth of information beyond what I have offered in other Tarot Foundations 1 courses. So that is there for you. And of course, you'll need a way to organize that. So a binder or something, as well as some sort of a notebook, because I'm sure you're going to be wanting to take notes or write on the pages that you print during class. Okay. All right. So let's go to a very basic overview of the tarot for those of you that are really coming into this from a beginner mindset. And I will also offer, I'll upload this after class today, a worksheet that gives you exercises as well to practice with some of the things I'm sharing here. The order of the major arcana has varied through the centuries. However, in this deck, the Fool is the first card. It is the 0 card. But I think it's also good to know that the Fool has, over the centuries, been in different positions. It has been in the final position and sometimes is referred to as the 22nd card. There are 22 cards in the major arcana. So it frequently is placed at the end of the pack, the end of the majors as well too. So I think that's a good thing to know. If we are working numerologically with the tarot, often working with the number 22 is associated with this particular card. And if you followed my year ahead readings, that is how I work with the Fool, as number 22, because 0 isn't a number. So 22 cards in the major arcana. And I would suggest that you spend some time memorizing the order of the cards. This is really helpful because in a reading, if the wheel or the Wheel of Fortune comes up in a reading, it can be really helpful to know that it is sandwiched by the Hermit and the Justice card. It is a story of a transition from 9 to 11 in this deck. 11 is a bit of a problematic number, and we will eventually get to that. Just like it is really useful to know that the Chariot follows the Lover's card and precedes the Strength card in this deck. So I would suggest you taking out these 22 cards and shuffling them up. Can I say drilling yourself? Just going through and once the cards have been shuffled, placing one on the table and just in your mind thinking, okay, Hierophant, Chariot. You place this one on the table and you're in your mind, you're going Strength, Lovers. And this is, I find, particularly with the minor arcana, a brilliant exercise to know the continuity of the story of the tarot. It really does help. Now, this is only, the tarot, of course, does not tell a story from A to Z or A to Z. It doesn't work that way. Time is a spiral. We weave in and out of different suits and different archetypes. But fundamentally, this is a really good thing to have in your head. So I would suggest practicing this over time and taking time with that. So the majors have 22. And then in the tarot, we have 4 suits. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about suit order and the way that decks are packed. But the 4 suits in general are Wands and Cups and Swords and Pentacles. And these suits go by an abundance of names. And there is a worksheet that will get you to begin to expand on your familiarity with those names. The suit of Pentacles is known by discs and coins, stones, among other things. The suit of Wands was traditionally known as batons or batons or staves. The Cups was it's a suit of vessels, any sort of a container, and there's been some really creative suit name changes such as cauldrons. The suit of Swords, I'm thinking Athams is one. Athams is a form of a knife used in Wiccan practices, and the swords have gone by all kinds of names. And of course, each of these suits is associated with an element, which is significant. The suit of Wands is associated with fire. And we will begin to develop all of the associations connected with fire, including your impulsiveness, your will and your drive, your passion. The suit of Cups is connected with the element of water. This is the energy that flows and runs through everything. All of these elements can cause tremendous damage. They can all create a sense of peace as well too. And one of the things that I think is really important to remember when you're studying the tarot is no matter how they are painted, the cards are painted, that each card has both a light meaning and a shadow or a challenging meaning, regardless of whether you are reading upright or reversals. It's really important to understand the range of possibilities for every single card in the tarot. And we will take that step by step. The suit of Cups is the element of water. And this connects to really anything that flows, including our emotions. And because I have a strong yogic background, I will often bring in yogic references, but I think it's really important to note that to begin to understand what emotion is. Emotion is an anagram for energy in motion. And so this is an element that we want to see flowing and does not do very well when it is contained for a long period of time. The element of air is connected to swords. This is an element that connects us to thoughts, the mind, and the voice. And the suit of pentacles, or discs, is connected to the material world, the manifest world. And we often have coins that are represented here. But I encourage you to always remember that there is a star in the coin and never lose sight of that. There's always that little bit of magic here as well too. This is not by any means a mundane suit. Okay, so we have in each of these 4 suits 14 cards. And the order of presentation will vary. Sometimes the court cards, Page, Knight, Queen, and King, will be presented at the end of the 14. Other times they will be presented ahead of the ace. And this will vary from guidebook to guidebook, and I will address that in a little bit. Okay, so 14 cards per suit. And then each of the suits has a page, a knight, a queen, and a king. And these court cards, like many other cards, can go by varying names. And you will see different animals, different genders. It is really important to understand that the tarot is not gender specific. It is gender, I wish I had a better word. I'm sure there's a word. It is open to representing any gender in any of these court cards. In the same way, you can see a multiplicity of age and ability in each of these cards as well too, and that is something that we will address when we get to this. So 22 cards in the major arcana, 14 cards in each of the suits, and so that makes 56 minors and 22 majors for 78 in total. And we will be looking at the numerological significance of all of those numbers over time, because it's absolutely fascinating. Okay, now I sent you a sheet, those of you that were at the beginning of the class, and if you haven't, it is in the Google Docs. It is called Beginnings, Portals, and Gifts. Beginnings, Portals, and Gifts. And the intention of this worksheet was to just get you started in thinking about the energy of beginnings and what your relationship to beginnings is. This is a major concept in the tarot, the one of fresh starts. And besides the cards that we will address today, which are the 4 aces and the 4 pages and the Fool, of course, there are other cards of new beginnings as well. And I would say that there are some very significant repeating themes in the tarot. One is of balance, and one is of change. And these themes tend to get repeated over and over, particularly the theme of balance. I would say that if you are working with the tarot, as part of your own spiritual journey into self, that this is a theme that is really important to explore in every way. In every way. I'm just going to get the pages out here. So go to some of those questions, and I wanted to address some of them. The third one asked you to find a song that speaks to the experience of starting something new. I have found that songs are and have always been a wonderful way to bring in associations with the tarot. Now, I'm also a bit of a movie buff, and I will from time to time also mention movie titles. You might also want to make a note of that here as well, too. If you are a literature buff and you have an immense library in your brain or in your home, literary connections are also really, really useful here. And this theme of fresh starts and beginnings and first steps and openings is one that we need to get comfortable with, starting over again. And the implications here are that we release the past and that we let go. And so this is part of this whole theme. And so, I asked you, what is your comfort level with new beginnings? And this is part of the energy of these cards. The 5th and 6th prompts for you to begin this new journey, this new step. I think it's important that there is something else that you begin besides the course. Many of you taking this course have had tarot in your hands for a long time, and this is a way to solidify your knowledge, to expand and enrich your knowledge. Some of you are coming in as true beginners. And no matter how you are coming into this course, I would suggest that at the beginning here, you acknowledge a fresh start in something else. It could be something quite mundane. I don't know, like you could, it's funny, I was just thinking about fresh sheets. Maybe you get some new sheets for your bed. Maybe there is something that you shift the energy of in your kitchen. You move your coffee maker to a new location. You begin drinking a new energizing tea in the morning. I would suggest that you mark the beginning of your study here with something new so that you remember and you build some sort of secondary association with the beginning of this journey.